All right. Good morning, everybody. I'm Rumni. It's really wonderful to be back again. This is my third time. It's starting to feel like home. Good morning to people who are watching and joining on Zoom. So we're going to have music a cappella style. We're not going to have, as I think people on Zoom were able to hear. Oh, wonderful. So I'm not going to repeat. So I'm just going to dive right in. Again, I'm Rumni briefly for those of you who haven't met me or I haven't met. I am in seminary right now. This is going to be my final year at Boston University School of Theology. I identify as a Unitarian Universalist, a Hindu, and a humanist. I belong to the Unitarian Church of Sharon, and I love the complexity and diversity and the intersectionality of my faiths. What else? Oh, and since I think you mentioned, since I was here last time, I took up a new job. It's only part-time, but something that I love. I am the Hindu chaplain for Wellesley College now. So thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Didn't expect that. All right, again, like I said, this is starting to feel like my second home. And I love it. I love being here. Everybody's always so warm and welcoming. And my sister is visiting from California, so I'm super excited for her to be in a church. This is her first time ever being in a Unitarian church. So I was just saying that I'm trying to proselytize her. All right. Okay, we're going to start out with the opening words are from, it's called A Place of Belonging and Caring by Kimberly Ann Carlson. It is not by chance that you arrived here today. You have been looking for something larger than yourself. Inside of you, there is a yearning, a calling, a hope for more, a desire for a place of belonging and caring. Through your struggles, someone nurtured you into being, instilled a belief in a shared purpose, a common yet precious resource that belongs to all of us when we share. And so you began seeking a beloved community, a people that does not put fences around love, a community that holds its arms open to possibilities of love. A heart home to nourish your soul and share your gifts. Can everyone hear me okay? All right. Now we're going to do the chalice lighting. And I'm going to read 448, verse 448. So we gather here this hour as people of faith, with joys and sorrows, gifts and needs. We light the beacon of hope, sign of our quest in truth and meaning. In celebration of the life we share together. Christine Robinson. And now we're going to sing hymn number 123, Spirit of Life. Spirit of life, come to me, sing in my heart, all the stirrings of compassion, love in the you. That was wonderful. All right. And now, 471, our affirmation. Love is the doctrine. Oh, sorry. Yes, you had told me that last time. 471. Yes, I should have listened. Thank you. Let me know once you're done. I'll wait. Can we start? No. Yes? Love is the doctrine of this church. The quest of truth is its sacrament, and service is its prayer. To dwell together in peace, to seek knowledge in freedom, to serve human need, to the end that all souls shall grow into harmony with the divine. Thus do we covenant with each other and God. Okay. All right. This is the part of the service where we make announcements. If anyone has any announcements, would you like to come over here?
We're just talking about the Course in Miracles, which continues to be on Zoom. You've been on it once or twice, yes? And we continue. We're up to how many countries now? 40.
Wow.
I think what we're doing right is we have diversity. We're not one voice. We're at each other's throats, on each other's side, whatever. The point is, we love each other and work with each other, and we can also disagree when it's necessary.
Excellent.
We have a new sound system that we're tweaking. The speakers have been moved from where they were last week, and the basic treble have been changed, the volume has been changed, and we're just interested in feedback. We want people, especially who are part of illnesses, if they can hear.
Okay, so I want to say thank you so much again for coming to join us today, Rumni, and we'll be in touch with some schedule some additional dates for the next season. I was at an event last Sunday, and maybe I'll share that during Joyce, but for announcements, I picked up this food pantry pamphlets. They gave me several to put in our resource file called Angels Anonymous. It's directly on this for many that needs them. And I wanted to say that next Sunday is our last Sunday for the season. Lisa Kirk will be here at a combination flower communion and Father's Day. So please do bring flowers, something from your garden. If you don't have something, I'll bring extra.
Thank you. Anybody else? Okay. All right, so now I think we're gonna, again, skip to hymn 131. Love will guide us. Give you a minute to find it. All right.
Love will guide us, Jesus guide us, always guide us, we will pray on the road from reaching day. Love will guide us through the hard times. If you cannot sing like me,
Okay, that was wonderful again. Thank you. All right, so I guess now we can move into the sermon. I titled it, How the Jewish Practice of Shabbat Can Help Us Live into Our Seven Principles, into the seven principles of Unitarian Universalism. So we as Unitarian Universalists pride ourselves on our progressive faith. We are also mighty proud of our progressing faith, a living tradition which by definition is constantly changing and evolving. For us, theology is not so much about God talk or how things came to be, but about our interconnectedness. It's the way we live in the world and show up for one another. It is a call to imagine and reimagine and actively work towards how things can be. Our seven principles, as you know, are our guiding stars. One of the sources of our seven principles, and this is taken from the UUA website, is wisdom from the world's religions, which inspires us in our ethical and spiritual life. The first time I was here, I believe it was in November, right? November. I spoke a little bit about Hinduism. Today, I am going to draw from the wisdom of Judaism in general and the spiritual practice of Shabbat in particular. Shabbat, as many of you know, has a profound theological grounding for the Jewish people. The question that we will seek to answer today is as follows. How is this Jewish practice of Shabbat relevant to us Unitarian Universalists in living out our seven principles? And I'm going to go through each one. Okay, so recently in a class titled Shabbat, actually it was Sabbath, Theology and Practice, I read Rabbi Heschel's beloved book, The Sabbath. And I think I might have mentioned it last time too. It's a really small book, thin, but it is profound. And if you haven't had a chance to read it, I would highly recommend it. It's mind-blowing. So I read this book and I was moved. Heschel, who's aptly dubbed the spiritual radical, is no stranger to Unitarian Universalism. In the historic civil rights march from Selma to Montgomery in 1965, Heschel marched arm in arm with Reverend Martin Luther King. Incidentally, I had to mention this. It was during the same protest that the 38-year-old Unitarian Universalist minister, Reverend James Reeb, was clubbed to death by white supremacists for his support of the Negro. This beloved son, husband, and father of 4 very young children, a justice seeker, and our proud ancestor, who had taken the same oath that we have all pledged, to stand on the side of love, would never see justice himself. The 3 white men who were swiftly charged with a heinous crime were just as promptly acquitted by an all-white jury. Heschel's description of the spiritual meaning of the march for his Black siblings deeply resonates with our theology of love, compassion, and justice work. This is what he says. Even without words, our march was worship. I felt my legs were praying. Similarly, we UUs believe that praying is not simply contemplative, but active. Love is not merely passive, but radical and revolutionary and active. So why Shabbat? Why now? So Shabbat is one of the 10 commandments of Judaism. It is one of the fundamental principles laid out in the Torah as part of a framework for a healthy and ethical human society, a just human society. One of the earliest references of Shabbat in Deuteronomy 5:14 says, "The seventh day is a Sabbath to the Lord your God. On it you shall not do any work, neither you nor your son or daughter, nor your male or female slave, nor your ox, your donkey, or any of your livestock, nor any foreigner residing in your towns, so that your male and female slave may rest, as well as you." So here is a commandment from God that applies not just to the privileged, but to all creatures, free, enslaved, humans, animals, and also the land. On this day, everyone and everything is equal in the eyes of God. Our first principle is a clarion call for us to recognize the inherent worth and dignity of every person at all times. We UUs believe that we are all equal in the eyes of the divine, whatever our definition of divine may be. Shabbat or Sabbath is a reminder of God's covenant with his people. It is a reassuring reminder of our own dignity, worthiness, and at the same time, a commandment to practice equity. Shabbat is also a reminder of liberation from bondage. And in this reminder is an uncompromised commitment to fight oppression. It calls us to be warriors of justice. The Unitarian Universalist minister, Reverend Anna Levy-Lyons, says that the self that emerges from a truly egalitarian Sabbath and re-enters the week is a changed self, a newly radicalized self who can no longer tolerate injustice. Heschel similarly writes that Sabbath is not for the sake of the weekday. The weekdays are for the sake of Sabbath. It is not an interlude, but the climax of living. So the Sabbath does not simply come into being on Saturdays. The depth of this experience is created by how we behave on the other 6 days of the week. They are a pilgrimage to Sabbath. Sabbath is truly a lived experience, just like our faith. Here, our second principle comes to mind. Our second principle is a commitment to uphold justice, equity, and compassion in human relations. We UUs hold these values to be sacred, just as embodying Shabbat is to embrace holiness. Our third principle says, acceptance of one another and encouragement to spiritual growth in our congregations. As UUs, we affirm the worth and value of all people in the world right here, right now, not in the afterlife, this life, right? In the present. We believe that the divine is present in the holiness of our everyday experiences. Heschel reminds us that while 6 days A week, we seek to dominate the world. On the seventh day, we try to dominate the self. Again, Reverend Levi Lyons astutely notes that the Sabbath allows the spiritual hippie child in us to come out and play. Sabbath is a rest of the soul, a healing balm. Come to think of it, Sabbath may be interpreted as self-care, right? Which so many of us forget to do. Here, the womanist and civil rights activist Audre Lorde's definition of self-care, which I have mentioned before because I absolutely love it. So self-care, according to Lorde, is self-preservation, not self-indulgence, right? And it is absolutely essential. It comes to mind, her definition. Let us not forget that this playfulness, lightheartedness, and joy are all essential so we can engage in the hard work of justice seeking. Our fourth principle upholds a free and responsible search for truth and meaning. Sabbath is a vehicle for meaning making. It is a quest to seek what truly matters in this rat race that we are all a part of. Heschel reminds us that the true meaning of Sabbath is to celebrate time rather than space. 6 days a week, we live under the tyranny of things of space. On the Sabbath, we try to become attuned to holiness in time. Yes, indeed, the tyranny of things. And so many of us, and I am probably on the top of the list, so many of us enslaved by material things. What about time? Don't we all think that we have time forever? Yet aren't we all losing precious time every second? Sabbath guides us gently to look inwards, and in the course of this introspection, we come to see how we are all connected to ourselves, the divine, to each other, and to value time, which we so often forget in our harried lives. Our fifth principle is about self-determination, the right of conscience and the use of the democratic process within our congregations and in society at large, it reads. We are called to listen to the voice inside of us that guides us to live fully and love generously those we know and those we do not yet know. We believe that each one of us is endowed with the inherent right to fight for what is true and to stand up against injustice. Here, the image of Rabbi Heschel marching hand in hand with Dr. King comes to mind, and this is over 50 years ago. Heschel was no doubt using his deep sense of integrity, his innate moral sense, and his conscience to pray with his feet for his Black siblings. Our sixth principle states the goal of world community with peace, liberty, and justice for all. The word justice keeps repeating itself. I love that. Shabbat gives birth to a moral imperative to seek justice for ourselves and for others, and to heal the brokenness of the world around us. Tikkun Olam, the Jewish concept of repairing the world, is intrinsically tied to Shabbat. As members of the interconnected web of life, it behooves us to go out and fix the world that is broken. This nugget of Judaic wisdom, firmly rooted in the practice of Shabbat, was also borrowed for the first time in the 1950s to refer to social action work. Our sixth principle is a call for us to engage in social justice, to bring into balance what is out of kilter and to fix what is broken in this world. Again, Reverend Levi Lyons reiterates that it is the non-negotiability of the Sabbath that gives it its terrifying power. How many times have we cried out loud and clear that justice and compassion for all are simply non-negotiable. Last but not the least, the ecological implications of Shabbat spells out clearly our seventh principle: respect for the interdependent web of all existence, of which we are a part. On Shabbat, we are to reassess and realign our relationship with the natural world. According to the ancient rabbis, what is work? So the ancient rabbis define work as any activity that alters nature in any way. The ultimate goal of Shabbat is to reduce our impact on the natural world. That is why the Sabbath peace is also the beginning of the peace with nature, which many people are seeking today in the face of the growing destruction of the environment. Today, more than ever, the catastrophic effects of global warming is a reminder of our interdependence. We believe that it is our moral imperative to acknowledge this interdependence, interconnectedness, but also to take bold actions to protect this web of existence and to heal our wounded earth. Environmental justice began when the God of the Hebrews ordered his people and their lands to breathe and rest. Environmental justice also began with each concrete step that we as a community have undertaken to live an ecologically conscious life. Many of our churches, including my home church in Sharon, are striving to become a green church. The gardens that we so lovingly nurture, the conscious use of compostable materials at our churches and homes, the reduction of plastic, the installation of solar panels that heat our residences and buildings, many of our residences in buildings, the ambitious recycling and composting projects that so many of us are tirelessly engaged in, and numerous other actions, big and small, are an acknowledgement of our interconnectedness and a commitment towards environmental justice. So yay to you and yay to all of us. We all deserve a pat on our backs for doing our part to take care of our earth. So last time I was here, I spoke about presence. Well, Shabbat is ultimately also about presence. Presence with ourselves, our community, and the divine. Shabbat is a prescription for ethical living. Our 7 principles, as we have seen today, likewise encourage us to envision a better world and work actively towards its fulfillment. We Unitarian Universalists see universal love as a foundation for our actions in the world. Our Side with Love campaign calls us to show up for justice anywhere there is injustice. Love to us is a verb. Likewise, Sabbath, contrary to its perceived passive demeanor, is an action word. But most of all, Sabbath reminds us that in the end, we are all intricately connected. Here, the Unitarian Universalist minister, Reverend Manish Mishra Marzetti's poignant words come to mind. The universe sings no less because time and space wear us thin. The music calls us to recognize our limitations, to recognize that the song is best sung with others. By embodying the concept of Shabbat, we will most definitely be living into the core principles of our Unitarian Universalist faith. Let's draw from the deep wisdom wells of Judaism to confront powers and structures of evil with justice, compassion, and the transforming power of love. Sabbath challenges us to reimagine our world, just like our 7 principles challenge us to re-examine and then go out and change our world. Let us continue to show up for justice with love in our hearts and fire in our bellies, just like the God of the Hebrews commanded his people to do. Let's continue to fiercely pray with our feet. May it be so. Okay, let's take a minute. Again, I love that the word justice keeps constantly showing up in our words and action. So now is the part where we pass around the offertory.
We just come up with things.
Oh, you do? Okay, all right.
We do.
And now we share joys and concerns with each other. And if you have anything to share, please come up and speak into the microphone. Is that what it is? No, we just stand and talk. Just state your name.
I have a joy. This week has been one beautiful week. I've been able to go outside and experience the weather and stuff. But I've been able to reconnect with somebody I've known for 34 years. She's been a part of my life forever. And I don't know if I could ever live without her. And now we're starting to reconnect. And it's given me so much hope and joy knowing that even though things are in the past, I can always work for the future. And I'm so blessed at knowing that God has given me the opportunity to do that, to be able to reconnect. It's very important right now in my life. So, and another thing is, someone had given me a gift today and it brought so much joy. It was a nice big Boston Red Sox mug cup that I am going to enjoy forever because that is my team, Red Sox. And that gave me so much joy today. Again, so thank you.
Thank you for sharing that.
A lot of Protestants think of the Sabbath in terms of the King James translation of the Bible. And the commandment says, remember the Sabbath day and keep it holy. Well, holy in 1611 didn't have the same meaning it has today. Holy in 1611 meant whole. Keep the Sabbath uncontaminated with work. It didn't mean kill yourself at church work on Sunday. Just have to take a day off.
Right. Mm-hmm. Thank you. Yes. And then there's the whole Christian way of celebrating or practicing Sabbath, right? So yes, thank you for that. Anybody else? Yes, you were going to repeat. Oh, wonderful, wonderful. Congratulations.
So I just wanted to tell everybody, well, first of all, let me tell you that my handy person is a practicing Jewish woman who is a retired psychologist.
Oh, I think I know her. I know her. Sharon, I was just going to say, she's mine too. She's wonderful.
Talk about her now, and I don't know where she can do that, but we say that she was working for me last Friday. And she said to me at about 4:30, "Are we almost done? Because I got to go home for Shabbat." I said, "Go, go, go. Yeah, hold on. Oh my God, she makes my home so comfortable. I can't fix a thing. Never learned. I can cook. I can do many things, but I don't know how to use it. Anyway, so that was just fun to think about that. So I wanted to tell you also that I had such a great time with Richard, Susan, and Stephen last Sunday at the LGBTQ festival in town. It was a joyful event, joyful. And we passed out flyers, we invited people to come, people, children. It was just so many people there, entertainment, lots of food and crafts, lots of crafts, so you could have had a great time. And you did great.
Thank you. Anybody else? No? Okay. All right, so now we're going to move on to hymn 95. There is more love somewhere. Give you a minute.
I'm not following the notes exactly, but in a way that makes a little more sense. There is more love somewhere. There is more love somewhere. I'm going to keep on till I find it. There is more love somewhere. There is more love somewhere. There is more love somewhere. I'm going to keep on till I find it. There is more love somewhere. There is more peace somewhere. There is more peace somewhere. I'm going to keep on till I find it. There is more peace somewhere. There is more joy somewhere. There is more joy somewhere. I'm going to keep on till I find it. There is more joy somewhere.
Thank you. Yes, but it's wonderful what everybody's doing without a piano. So that's awesome. Not something I could have led. All right. So we're going to take a minute to kind of settle down. I know I said a lot, but it's also always a good reminder to listen to and read what our 7 principles, mention. So I have, just feel grounded, feel rooted to the ground. Maybe if you want, you can close your eyes. You don't have to. Just feel connected to the space we are in. And this last reading is, again, from one of my favorite humans, Howard Thurman. And it is titled, How Good to Center Down. And I felt that he speaks a lot. It very much relates to Shabbat and what Shabbat can help us do. And just to be, just to be rooted in general. So here goes. How good it is to center down, to sit quietly and see oneself pass by. The streets of our minds seethe with endless traffic. Our spirits resound with clashings, with noisy silences, while something deep within hungers and thirst for the still moment and the resting lull. With full intensity, we seek, ere the quiet passes, a fresh sense of order in our living, a direction, a strong, sure purpose that will structure our confusion and bring meaning in our chaos. We look at ourselves in this waiting moment, the kinds of people we are. The question persists. The questions persist. What are we doing with our lives? What are the motives that order our days? What is the end of our doings? Where are we trying to go? Where do we put the emphasis? And where are our values focused? To what end do we make sacrifices? Where is my treasure? And what do I love most in life? What do I hate most in life? And to what am I true? Over and over, the questions beat in upon the waiting moment. As we listen, floating up through all the jangling echoes of our turbulence, there is a sound of another kind, a deeper note which only the stillness of the heart makes clear. It moves directly to the core of our being. Our questions are answered, our spirits refreshed, and we move back into the traffic of our daily round with the peace of the eternal in our step. How good it is to center down. Okay. Now, there is no music, so we're going to go directly to extinguishing the chalice. And I'm going to read verse 456. Yes. We extinguish this flame, but not the light of truth, the warmth of community, or the fire of commitment. These we carry in our hearts until we are together again. And this is by Elizabeth Jones. Thank you so much for your patience. Thank you. Thank you so much, everybody who's on Zoom. Bye-bye. Until next time.